Hello, and welcome to episode 65 of the Inventive Marketing Club. We're here every week to help you build a better marketing strategy. On this webinar, we are looking at sending video emails with Loom. I use Zoom quite a lot, and I've used it to help make little mini help videos, updating sort of little updates for people, or even making proposal videos that I can use to educate and maybe impress people. So what I'm going to do is we've got a bit of a mix between a walkthrough, presentation, bit of example. So a little bit complicated from my side, but hopefully it will go well this time. Okay, let's get straight into it. Okay, so before we begin on the walkthrough, I'll just take you through a few slides, really. Sort of talking about how I came across Loom or the idea of using video, particularly in emails. That's the important bit here. And a few other tips. So I got into video email, or I first sort of heard about it from Jonathan Mahan. Now, he came on our podcast quite a while ago now, maybe 2 years or so ago. He came on our podcast to talk about this company he worked for called BombBomb. But what was interesting is his approach, how he actually got decided to come on our podcast, or I decided he came on the podcast. He actually sent me an email, and in it had a little thumbnail GIF, a little 5-second loop of him basically holding up a little whiteboard saying, "Hi, Ben." And then he would proceed to talk about our podcast and how he'd like to come on it. What was good is the fact that he kept it personal. He used my name. He would talk about previous episodes of our podcast, what he liked about it, and the value he could bring to our audience. So it's a very personal email, sort of touched on things that would be relevant to us, and also the approach. It was video. It was something that I just didn't. It was unique, different, really. Hadn't seen one before, not done like this. So I was very interested in the technology as well as some of the tips he had to share. Now, the company he worked for was BombBomb. And as part of him coming on, we actually managed to get a year's license to BombBomb. And that sort of introduced me to the idea of creating these very quick videos to share online. Because while I'm on the web a lot and building websites and using video a lot on websites, but email is it's a pain, really, in terms of understanding what formats you need to create an email in to actually get it to the end user to display in their email browser correctly. And video has always been a tough one to get into an email. You certainly really wouldn't want to share a video because it's large and you're sending out this huge email out to everyone. So you'd want to use some remote email. Well, recording that email is a bit complicated and there's a lot that goes into it. Well, services like BombBomb, when we were using it, really streamlined that. Now, I think about a year or so later, the subscription ran out and I was looking around for something because while I used video and email quite a lot, I didn't use it enough that was worth the BombBomb subscription, which is something like $50 a month. So it's quite significant. So I looked around and I found Loom. So before we get into the walkthrough, what I'll do is I'll just talk you through the actual Loom system. So if I stop screen sharing, or switch over to another screen, if I can do that, it's all going to be very, very swift. He says, and we'll share this one. So here's the Loom website. We'll just have a quick talk through it. So what I like about Loom, firstly, is it's super simple. It's got a nice little Mac app. They've got a PC app as well, which just sits on your computer, always ready and waiting to record a video for you. And one of the benefits of using this sort of technology is you can record a video, which can be a whole full screen or just a particular window of an application you're looking at. And it records the video, and then that video is almost instantly available on the Loom website for you to share it with a link. And that's the benefit. Because if you were to do that with another method, say using YouTube, you'd have to record the video using whatever video recording software you have. QuickTime can do that on a Mac. And then you need to upload it to YouTube, so that takes some time. Then you need to maybe set the title of it. give it set a few options, and then it gives you a link, and then you can copy and paste and use that link. And then you have to make a little thumbnail that you can use for your video. So it's a bit of a process. Loom takes care of all of that. And I'll do some demonstrations so you can get to see how it works. What's interesting though with Loom is one of the main use cases they have for it is to replace meetings. So rather than having a meeting where maybe you've got 10 people in attendance on Zoom, someone or multiple people in the team can actually give their little report as a video. And then depending on which people you're interested in or following on, you can actually just look at their videos rather than being on an hour-long meeting where you've got to go through everyone's updates, but that may not be relevant for you. So that's actually quite interesting. They're using a different tack and using it for these sort of regular status updates, which I think could be quite a good idea. It's quite a simple process, really. They've got lots of different ways, different ways that you can use it. The pricing is pretty good, I think, for Loom. I mean, it's got a great starter price of free, which is always good. And that's the one I'm using and I use for most of my things. The problem with the free account is you've got a limit of 5 minutes. Now, you might think that's a long time, but I come up against it a lot when I'm doing mini pitches that go out on an email, like maybe I'm quoting for a website and I'm putting a little mini video pitch together to talk about that website in brief. Well, I can come up against that 5 minutes pretty easily. And it's, I think it's partly my challenge to say a little bit less and maybe just have some key talking points because I can go into detail. So that's something for me to sort of restrain myself a little bit on. However, if you got to the next level, which is $8, we're not talking a huge amount of money there each month, and then you've got unlimited length of time for those videos. So it's pretty good if you want to migrate upwards. Obviously, they're aiming for teams, so what they want is loads of people in a team using this, and them getting $8 a month per person. So it's definitely worth starting because it's free. It's really useful. It's actually a very nice, slick process. Works very well. Really well designed. But let's not talk about that. Let's actually dive in and have a look at a screen share. So let me turn this off, do some more reorganizing, bring some bits up here that I need. That's everything. And we will dive into a bit of an overview, really. Okay, so I'm logged into Loom interface here. What I'm going to do is just quickly go through some of the interface here so you can see how it works. And there's two parts of the interface. There's the web app and the main app itself. In fact, what I'll do is I'm going to share the entire screen. I think that's going to make more sense here. There we go. So hopefully you can see everything. So what I'm going to do is just walk through the app, and you've got the web app as one component. And then you've actually on the Mac got this little app that sits at the top, which allows you then just to sort of record a video at a moment's notice. So let's have a quick look round through the interface first. So onto the web app. If I go to my library, you can see some of the videos I've already uploaded. Often they're the same sort of videos. So you can see some names here. Hi, Brian. Hi, David, Andy, and Dan and Max. So what I try and do is personalize some of my videos when I'm creating them so that when people see the thumbnail, they can see their name in there. And so they can see it's for them. And it makes it a bit more unique and remarkable, which is something I'm always talking about in marketing, trying to be remarkable. And if you can personalize something, you're going to be a little bit more remarkable. So we can see in the free version here, we get 25 videos. So that's the maximum number of videos you can have in there. And obviously, if you get up to that limit, you can start deleting them. So if you're using little videos just to explain something or sending a pitch, maybe after a couple of months, you don't need that anymore and you can delete that video. You can go into each video. Let's click on this one. And it gives you a little thumbnail to preview what's going on. You can change the title of it, which is quite nice if you want to make If you just want to make it a bit more customized, you can obviously play it, and there's some editing features which we'll have a look at later. You've also got the little device at the top here. I think they call it a taskbar, toolbar app. I actually can't remember, but it's a little app that sits at the top. And what you're able to do here is then start a video. So let's go in and do one of the walkthroughs. And you can see my little examples here. What we're going to do is go through a help video first. So let's bring it to this screen. And what I would do is I'm going to go Loom, and then I'm going to want screen and camera because I want my face to be on there as well. I think it's nice for people to see that. In fact, I've just realized because we're on Zoom, Zoom's captured the camera. So Loom isn't able to capture the camera. I'll leave it like that. But normally what would happen in the bottom left, you can see there's little whirling dots. What would happen is Loom would then capture your video, your webcam, and put your face there. You're able to move that around if you want. You can put it wherever you like, but it sits it normally out of the way on the left-hand side. I'm going to leave that way as a demonstration, but you would normally see your web camera there. And what we can do is pick a window. So if I click window, select app, I can then pick from the apps we've got there, and I want my browser. That's the one I'm going to be using. So we can now see everything dims and my video is then just on the left-hand side. So what we'll do is we'll start the recording, gives you a little countdown. That's where you take a breath, you calm down. And then you can start talking through what you're going to do. So for example, here, what I might do is talk a client through how to add an image to a gallery. So I can say, right, we click on the gallery. Maybe we select one of the logos, make sure we've got the actual gallery selected, and then click add. Open the media library. I've already pre-uploaded the Hot Tubs Rock logo because for some reason I haven't added them. Add to gallery. And then I can actually move them around. Maybe I just want to pop them up there. Update gallery. And now we can see the logo's been added. And then obviously what we'd want to do is make sure we go and save the page and update that. I'm not going to do that now. And that's it. Once you finish recording, you can just stop. You've obviously got some other controls on here. You can pause. You can, like I've done a few times, you can bin it because you go, I fluffed up. I've got to start again. You can actually do some controls on here. You can change the size of your video, which is quite nice, as well as moving it around, or you can turn it off completely. But that video is good enough. So if I go stop, you see that a new tab's opened up and the video is pretty much uploaded straight away to Loom. So in the background, while you've been recording it, it's streaming it straight online, which is really super handy. So what we might want to do now, because this title's not particularly useful, we might want to put how to add item, in fact, image to gallery. Pop that in, change the title, and that's great. Now, let's say I was sending this to a client because a client needed help with this. What I would do is I want to go into, well, there's two methods really. I could do it this way. So I could share the link. So I can go up to the top and just copy that link. And then that link you can use, even though I'm logged in, I can just copy that link and give it to anyone else who isn't logged in. And they'll get a similar view, but they obviously won't be able to edit the video. It'll have a little advert for using Loom. Obviously, it's because it's the free account. But other than that, it'll allow people to play the video and they can go in and play it. So let's do that now. So if I go in and go, how to update a gallery. Here you go. And then you could send that as a link. So that works quite nicely. The other thing you can do, if you want to make it a bit more interesting, is to post a thumbnail. So I'm going to do that in my next example. So if we just clear that back, what I'm going to do is see if I can find my presentation, which has gone off screen. Let me see if I can go and get that. There we go, back on desktop too. Brilliant. Sorry if I've made anyone sick moving around like that. It's quite fun on a Mac when you can sort of zoom out and see all of your windows. But let's look at my next example where I want to record a pitch to a client. So let's start on this screen. Hello, I could customize that, maybe put someone's name in there. Let's get on to playing it. Great, now it's ready to go. I'm just going to resize it a bit. Brilliant. I can do the same as I did before. I got to Loom. I can go Windows, select app. I can pick it there. And then it just gets everything set up and ready. Again, we've got the same problem that the video is not coming through, but it would normally. So I click on this, again, deep breath, 3, 2, and we're ready. And then you can wave, say hello. And I think the waving is quite good because what people do is they'll see your face down the bottom, but they'll see the wave and that will attract them to that video. They'll actually look down at that before they look at your slides. And then you can address them by name. I think that's always really good if you can do that. And then you can start clicking through your slides and just start talking through them over the top, just like you would if you were doing it in person or in a Zoom conversation. You know, you can do this as if you're talking to them live, but you just remember they're not going to answer back. Might be quite nice for some people. So you can move through this. This is a pitch deck we use for accompanying some of our websites. And I can go through each of these, talking at any points in here that need a little bit of extra explanation. Right, so now we're finished. We can stop. Just like before, it adds it pretty much immediately onto Loom, ready to share. But this time, what we're going to do is share it in a bit more of an interesting way. So let me get rid of that. Minimize that. So what we'll do when we share it into the email is we'll go up to the Share tab at the top. And then we'll click. There's lots of different ways. You can actually share it directly from here and it'll send an email. But I prefer to send a more custom email or maybe a reply to a previous email so I can keep those threads in line. And I don't really want it coming from Zoom. I want it to come from me. Sorry, did I say Zoom? I meant Loom. They're very similar. All of these app names have very easily mixed up names. So what I'm going to do here is go to embed. And what it generates for you is a little 5-second thumbnail, which if you've got some movement in there, like your hand wave, that is going to show up in there and it's going to make it a bit more interesting. So what we can do is actually copy the GIF thumbnail. And then I can go over to our email here and paste it in. And it's got a link. It's got the GIF thumbnail, which I don't know if you can see, there's some dots moving. So you can actually see it moving in there. And then you've got a link to it as well. So what I'll do is I'll add my normal quote text around it. So, hi, John, here's the quote I promised. And then we'll put, and a little explainer video. And then we'll put big website project quote. And then obviously if I've got a quote, I can add that quote in as well. So they've got a little video from me and a quote. And the reason I think this, I'll go into a bit more detail about this, but the reason I like this as a pitching process is because maybe I've met them in person once. Maybe I've spoken to them on Zoom once. But I think this is a nice way of not only reminding them who you are, but also allowing yourself to explain it, the proposal a little bit more, rather than just getting a quote coming through, which is bland. Actually to have a quote or a pitch deck, or where you can maybe look, in our case, sometimes I look through their website and I talk about some of the things that we're going to fix just to remind them. You can incorporate whatever's needed to help communicate and get across what you are going to do for people. And I think you could use this in so many different ways. I tend to record the videos ad hoc for when I need them, but I am starting to move to want to actually have pre-recorded videos, which I can send out to people. And I've got an example of that I'll show you in a minute. But let's send out this pitch quotes. That's good. I would obviously add that to John, put John's email in there, add a PDF, and away that goes. And I've had great response from these videos. People like them, they're interesting, they're different, and it's a nice little reminder of who you are. And the big benefit is if you are, maybe let's say you've spoken to someone in a company, but then they've got to take it to their boss, or they've got to take it to more people. The great thing about this is they can forward this video on, and it's going to, people aren't just going to be reading your quote, they're going to be seeing your video as well. So for me, that really helps, because when people work with me, it's all about working with me, not just anyone within, anyone who can do their work. People build a rapport with me and they want to work with me. So it's valuable that I'm part of the package, really. Let's take it a step further. So let's close that. I don't need that anymore. We'll close this. Let's say I wanted to do a bit of a blend. I wanted to record a very short video that I can customize, but I also have a bit of a pitch deck, which I don't want to keep repeating every time because it's exactly the same. You can actually stitch two videos together directly in Loom, and it's pretty straightforward. So let's have a go at doing that live, see how that works. So if I go to my latest video here, the Zoom one, click on that, we'll go into it. And I've got some options just that appear over the video here. Oh, something I forgot to mention actually is transcript. This is quite fun. Oh, that one hasn't done. Let's go back to one that's already been done. Go back to the last one, updating property listings. So this was an actual one that I did for a client. If I go review transcript, you can see that it's actually taken the text from what I talked about there and actually put it on screen, which is great. And you can actually get that to show up. And there are options where you can get your transcript to actually show up at the bottom of the video, which can be really useful for someone who's in an office environment, or maybe for some reason they're not able to turn on their audio so they can actually read it. Let's go back to my example. So I'm going to go into Zoom here. I'm going to go up to the options and we've got trim and add clips. Let's go into that. Now, the first thing I'll show you is you can actually do an edit in here. So maybe what I want to do is just trim off a bit of a mistake I made at the end, or I didn't manage to stop it in time. What you can do is just find that point and then trim. If you click on that, it's going to trim that clip off and then you can delete it like that. So now I can actually go and delete that clip and that's gone from there. And one thing to note, you can always revert back to the original, which is really nice. So it's not, even if you add some videos and make some changes, make some edits to it, you can always go back to the very original video, which is brilliant. I mean, that's always a worry that you've recorded this video and haven't got another copy of it and you've started chopping it around. So what I'm going to do with this is actually go back to, let's see if I can find a bit here. Let's say I did a little bit of an intro, talk for a little bit, and then I want to go into my sort of standard pitch deck. So I can split there. I can delete that clip. And now I'm ready to add some more, another video onto the back end of that. And I can go add clip. And I think the one I want is this one. Oh no, the marketing one here. So let's say how my coaching works. So I add that on. And that is now dropped on afterwards. So if I were to play that all the way through, well, actually, let's save it. Now, if I play that, I'm going to move it to there, so a bit closer. Yeah, and you can see how they've moved together now. So let's roll it back a bit more. So we've got the video, we've got a little bit of project work, and then cut to the new marketing segment video we've got in there seamlessly. And that's pretty good. The reason that could be really useful is if you are doing lots of pitches, you can record a very short introduction where you say hello to the person, you talk about their project in brief, and then you say, I just want to run through, I've got another video which is going to run on and just talk to you about a few of the key things that we do in our business. Maybe it could be a video from someone else. So it could be, if you've got multiple people in your team, you can get some of the technical people to create videos which other people in the team can use. The sales staff can then actually bolt on those videos onto their introductions. And it's pretty seamless. Well, in fact, it is seamless. You wouldn't notice the difference as it sort of moves from one into the other. The one caveat, which I noticed when I was just playing around, sort of preparing for this webinar, is that if you have a limit of 5 minutes for your recording, because you're on your free account, you can't just keep bolting on videos. You've still got a maximum of 5 minutes for your total video that you're creating. So you can see that the one I added was 3 minutes. So I could only have a 2-minute introduction. So you've just got to bear that in mind if you're going to do free ones. The other thing you can do, and this is with a paid account, I haven't played around much with it, but you can add a call to action. So it's a little button that appears on the video with a specific action that will go to a website like buy now or subscribe. And you can change the thumbnail. So you don't have to rely on the auto-created GIF thumbnail, which is fine. Personally, I like the GIF thumbnails. I think actually that they look very simple. They're friendly, especially if you record them in the right way. So I think actually you wouldn't necessarily need that, but the call to action might be worth upgrading for. But I think this is a great feature, and it's something I'm going to move towards, is actually creating a sort of mini catalog of little videos that I can stitch together as needed, depending on what the proposal demands. Because often it might be they need a bit of SEO, search optimization, they need a bit of marketing, or they need some web development. So if I've got little very short segments that I can drag in that I've practiced and I've done well, then I just need to record a little introduction and then pass them off to my past selves in these other little videos, which I think could be quite fun. So it's definitely a really good system, and it's great for free. And the best thing is, I definitely recommend get an account now, because usually what happens with these apps is they will grandfather you in, which means that as they start squeezing new customers and sort of bringing the price up or getting rid of the free tiers, the people who already have accounts, they generally will move those people on a bit slower, or you might even get a free account forever. So it's definitely worth getting an account now. It's a really good little app. Now, there are a few other things I've got on my notes here. Oh yes, recording canvas, that's quite fun to look at, and transcript, which we have looked over. Let's have a look at recording canvas. This is actually something I only discovered this morning, but I thought was quite fun. I've not seen it before. It must have come up in a recent update. But let's say I didn't have Keynote or PowerPoint, and I didn't have any sort of slides, and I just wanted something to look a little bit more interesting than maybe just my video. What I can do in Loom is go and create a recording canvas. Now, hopefully this will come out. Hopefully you can see that. Claire, if you can give me a nod, make sure you can see that. Great. So what you can do in here is you've got different backgrounds you can pick. They're all a bit funky. They're not quite my style. I think, I haven't experimented. As I said, I only found it this morning. I think you might be able to upload your own ones if you actually pay for an account. But you can upload some colors there just to make it a bit more interesting. You can even go and set up some templates. Now, all the templates are a little bit weird, I think, but let's have a look at them. So you've got one here that looks like a very old school Windows 3.1 interface. It's all did the bitmaps and everything, and I can just move my video to fit within that. Got like a little congratulations thing here, which actually, you know what, that could be quite fun if you're doing employee, someone's won a competition, or they're like they've sold the most widgets this month. You could make a little video like this saying thank you to them. It's a bit American for my liking. This is quite fun though. This could be quite fun if you want to produce a little video. You put that in the middle, and then it just looks a little bit more interesting. You can see though, I've got a very large 27-inch screen. A lot of these are designed for smaller screens like laptops, so they probably work a bit better on a laptop, but you know, it's quite fun. You can, even on some of them, you can change the text. So you can actually type whatever you want in there. So I think that could be really useful if, see, it isn't popping in, but you could write a few notes in there, and if you're doing some kind of update or broadcast and you want it to be fun going out to your team, this could be a fun way of doing it. Not quite my style, but actually it's a nice idea. And transcript we've had a look at. Now, just sort of before I finish off and get onto my tips, the one setting that I definitely turn off in Loom is the notification when the first person watches your video. Now, it's exciting at first when you record a Loom and send it out and someone watches your video. So Loom will send you a message saying, someone has watched your video. That's great. But I don't care after a while. You know, I'm not interested when they watch the video. I just want them to watch the video, and I don't want that notification. So I'd recommend going into settings, personal, and then over to push notifications. And then this bit here, email, engagement. My first videos are viewed. I don't want to know that. So I'd turn that off. You might want to leave on the others if people leave a comment on there. Maybe if someone mentions you in another video, maybe that works for you as a team. But I'm not interested in when someone watches it. If I'm that interested, I will go in later into my library and have a look that way. Okay, so what we'll do now is I'll stop sharing. I'm going to switch back over to my other screen and seamlessly move into the tips. There we go. So I'm just going to run through a few tips that I think people might find useful if they're creating video pitches. First one, plan your talking points. Otherwise, you will bumble. And I do this a lot. So plan out what you're going to say, bullet point it. It makes things a lot easier for you because you can focus on the key things that you need to talk about. A little idea that actually Jonathan Mahan, who introduced me to the idea of video in email, gave me is to write little cheat notes, like you can see in the picture there. You write them on a post-it note and then stick that up next to your camera so no one can see. So you get your note and just put it up there. No one can see that, but you've got these little bullet points. You can still look into the camera and just glance away to see what they are. It keeps you on track. Next is to set up your screens, apps, or presentation in advance. When you start using Loom and you're locking it into a particular window, it doesn't allow you then to move the window or bring in other apps. So you've got to think about in advance to make sure the window is the right size and just set everything up and make sure you've got everything ready, because otherwise you'll be wasting your 5 minutes and you want that to be as slick as possible. So yes, stick to the key points, 5-minute limit. Personally, that's the bit I find hardest. And because I start going off talking about some interesting little detail that I think might be useful for them. It's a short video. It's just to remind them of who you are. It's just to get across some key bits of information. You're not trying to tell them everything. If there is detail that you need to tell them, make sure it's in the slides that you send them or your email. Make it personal. Use their name. So like I did in the slides, actually write their name in there. That can be quite fun. Certainly, if you don't want to do that, say their name. That's a lot easier to do. You can even use something fun. It's a little mini whiteboard, and I used to use these a lot. So I'll just put, "Hi, Claire." I like to make a little note like that, which is a very easy way of writing, engaging someone so they can see. You don't have to create any slides. You've got that always to hand, and you can just put someone's name on there and put that in the first few seconds of a video, because you know that's going to create a little GIF thumbnail loop. So that's quite fun. I can't remember where I got these from. They use them in schools a lot of the time. It's just a standard dry wipe marker, and then these, and you get them a pack of 5 for something like 10 quid. Very useful. It's also, and I haven't done this, I should use it in presentations, because I was doing a presentation yesterday and I was trying to explain a graph, which is not fun to do verbally. And if I'd had a little whiteboard with me, I could have drawn it out and handed it around. Don't forget to breathe. I think this is a tip that Claire would give you if she was videoing you, is just when you are about to start, take a deep breath. You want to slow down your heart rate, because what you don't want to do is rush through what you've got to say. You will, and I do this, it's very easy to do, but if you can slow down, you will make sure you touch on the important points. You won't rush, you won't bumble, and what you say will come across clearly. And also smile, because when you smile, people will often smile when they're looking at the video as well. It also can make you feel a bit happier when you smile. So before you start recording, in that 3 seconds, deep breath, a smile that doesn't look goony, and then begin. Something that's super important, again, Claire would agree with a lot of this. Lights, and audio is so important. Get the audio right, try and get a good mic, try and talk closely to it, try and get that sound level up. What you don't want is to be muffled. You don't want to be too far away, and you don't want a lot of clips as well, like too loud in some cases where it's going to get clipped and your voice isn't going to sound very good. So try and practice a few times to see how the audio comes across. And if you, to be honest, computers are pretty good. Most computers, certainly Apple computers, are pretty good at isolating voices. And so they're usually pretty good. But if you find that it's not good enough, get an external mic. They're not very expensive, I say not very expensive, between 50 and 100 pounds, but it's worth it. If you're going to use it a lot, it will make your voice sound a lot better, and it will isolate any sort of dog barking or trucks or car noise outside. It makes a huge difference. So get the audio right first, then get the lighting right. People don't care so much about what you look like as long as the audio is good, but it's always worth looking your best. So try and make sure you've got light on your face. There's not too much shadow. I've got some funny examples here in my old office of just showing the difference it makes using, making sure your windows are open. You don't have a window behind you. I don't actually have that example, but I see it so often on Zoom when someone has a big window behind them and they're just a sort of black shape in the middle. So make sure you've got lots of light coming in. You've got all your lights on, and you're looking your best. And then finally, share the GIF. So you can just share the link. And I think if you're using a chat app, Slack or WhatsApp, sharing a little video using a link is fine. I think that's great. But if you are using email, or maybe you could even put this on your website, there's no reason why you couldn't, then I would definitely share the GIF that they make for you. It's fun, or certainly you can make it fun. If you have a bit of personalization in the beginning of it, like the whiteboard or as part of your slides, then people are going to see it's for them and they think, wow, they've created a unique video for me. That's pretty cool. So definitely share that. Makes it a little bit more intriguing and more likely people are going to open it. So that's it. That's me on Loom. I think Loom is a super useful tool. I don't use it enough, frankly. I think it's so good. And I now they've have the editing feature and trimming feature in there. I think that's going to be such a useful feature going forward to actually start really thinking about the different ways I communicate with people and trying to pre-prepare some of that stuff in advance. Now, I would say if you're going to reach your 25 video limit and you've got a lot of reusable videos in there, it might be worth putting them on YouTube, because then YouTube, you're not going to have that limit and you can share them however you like. And you are in Loom, once you have recorded the video, you are able to download it as a compressed, I think it's an MP4, which is something you can then upload directly to YouTube. So they're not locking the video in there, which is great. Something else I will mention, and it might be worth you upgrading to the paid version, is that you are restricted on the free version to recording in 720p, which means the vertical height is going to be 720 pixels. If you upgrade, you can go up to 4K. And I think the benefit of that is you're just going to look a little sharper. And if you are recording videos that you're going to use a lot and share with a lot of people, it's probably worth getting that higher quality video to share with people. 4K is probably a little bit more than you need, but it's certainly better that you're able to use a higher definition than just 720. So I highly recommend Loom. The price is great at free, but I think if you start using it, it's worth upgrading. I can't recommend the tool enough. I look forward to seeing lots of Loom sent my way. Feel free to record a little test. Right, that's it. Nice short one this week. Hello, Claire. You've been watching in the background. Do you want to maybe take us through what we've got for next time?
We're still pinning down October's schedule. However, we're hopefully having Cass Smithwaite Walker, who's going to talk through the sort of rationale behind developing a brand. Alternatively, if that's not the case, we will be running through an updated version of Google Analytics version 4 with yourself.
Yes, that's the booby prize. I think we'd definitely rather have Cass on there. Although I'll be featuring later in the the month. Yeah, it'd be great actually have a good design conversation with Kaz. I've been working with her on a couple of clients, so it'd be great to have her on. She's got lots of opinions. And then on, if it's Google Analytics 4, I mean, it's not going to be that bad. It's basically, I'm updating a walkthrough I did for Google Analytics, gosh, probably 2 years ago now. I'm updating that for the new Google Analytics version 4, which is quite different. And there's a few things, you know, that the interface is quite different really in the way it works. So I'll be walking people through that. Cool. Thanks very much, Claire. So to everyone else, we're here every Friday at 10 a.m. We cover everything from marketing, strategy, social, SEO, video, and more. If you've got something exciting to share, do get in touch. You can email us, support@ratherinventive.com at any time. And if you've got something interesting, you know, we'd love to have you on. I think, you know, I've got lots I can say, but I know a lot of my customers and club members have so many exciting stories about their way they're using marketing in their business, and I want to hear from you. If you want to invite a colleague, you can either share them the Zoom link, or, you know, feel free to forward them on to, you know, the website. They can use your credentials temporarily, and do let Claire know so we can welcome them on board. And don't forget, you can catch all our previous webinars. They're on the website. So if you log in there, you'll be able to find everything. And, you know, if you can't find something, if there's a particular video you're looking for, email us, support@ratherinventive.com, and we will find it for you and point you in the right direction. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next week.